For thousands of years, the Egyptians have looked to the Nile River for their sustenance. It's provided them with fish to eat and water to irrigate their crops. But now in the 21st century, a growing number of Egyptians are searching for living water and a different type of bread. Many non-believers are coming to Christ because of dreams and visions and Christian television broadcasts. As their numbers have increased, so has the persecution against them. And Christians throughout the Middle East are on edge, worried the violent reaction to the recent words of Pope Benedict may worsen during the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. Here in Egypt, some fear Christians may fall victim to attacks, like the one that occurred last April in Alexandria. Fakia Atta tearfully recalls the incident that took the life of her 78-year-old husband, Nashi. He failed to return home after a Friday morning church service. She sent her youngest son, Meir, back to the church to fetch him. When Meir arrived at the church, he noticed a pool of blood at the entrance and a trail of blood leading from the church up the hospital steps next door. He ran to the hospital emergency room, where he saw doctors and nurses treating a number of church members in blood-soaked clothes. A doctor told Meir the injured Christians had been stabbed during an attack at the church. Meir says he was shocked after the doctor led him to his deceased father's bedside. He told CBN News that no one could possibly know how he felt after seeing his father's wounds. He says he suffered a mix of emotions, astonishment, sorrow, and pain. Meir wept uncontrollably and wondered how anyone could have murdered his father. His father had no enemies and was loved by everyone. The Atta Gerges family learned a Muslim radical wielding two long knives had stormed into the entrance of the church and stabbed several people while shouting, "God is great," and "Death to infidels." Fakia had been married to Nashi for more than 50 years. How did his murder affect her faith?
It hasn't hurt my faith, but it has affected my life. I feel lonely all the time without my husband, and that's the most difficult part.
Christianity has existed in Egypt 6 centuries longer than Islam, yet Christians are only about 12% of the total population. Muslims about 87%. The country's constitution gives preference to the Muslim majority, and Christians are often treated as second-class citizens. Some Christian female teens have been abducted and forced to convert to Islam. Others have been lured or enticed into renouncing their Christian faith by promises of wealth and a more prosperous life as Muslims. Such was the case for the daughter of peasant farmer Saber Sabe Gadala. As the late autumn sun set over the fields of El Minya, Egypt, Saber placed his last few handfuls of hay onto a donkey cart and walked slowly back to his house. The teenage son of his Muslim neighbor asked to purchase some hay. The fatigued Saber instructed his 16-year-old daughter, Suzanne, to go and fetch the hay from the backyard. She never returned. Saber explains how an official responded when he went to the police station to file a missing person report. "He slapped my face," Saber said, and he yelled, "What do you want us to do? Put a guard at your house 24 hours per day?" Saber believes Suzanne was abducted, forcibly converted to Islam, and married. Though police may know Suzanne's location, they've refused to reveal her whereabouts to her parents. "She'd never do anything like this willingly. She's very kind, innocent, and respectful of her parents," explained Saber. "If she did this willingly, why will they not let me ask her in person?" Saber says his family has been torn apart. All he wants is for the truth to be revealed. This former Muslim, we'll call her Rachel, says she came to Christ after she fell in love and married a Christian man. "We've hidden her identity to protect her from attack. The family doesn't know she married a Christian or that she has left the Islamic faith. She is now in hiding because she says family members will murder her if they find out."
It is written in the Quran that they must kill me and take my child. They would do it.
And some, like Rachel, say they know God is with them in the midst of their suffering.
The Lord tells us He cares for the sparrows. Just think how much more He cares for us.
Gary Lane, CBN News, Cairo, Egypt.
Of the 7 billion people living on our planet, 2 billion are Christian and 2.1 billion are Muslim. Two different religions with two very different points of view. Fatima Divanbegi learned the truth about each of these religions in her search for a genuine relationship with God.
On the inside, I felt like there was a huge rock hanging in my heart. I could feel it. I could even tell you what it looked like. I mean, what the size of it was, what it looked like. It was real and it was painful. It was like something that would draw me down and wouldn't let me, live. There was no hope in it. There was no hope for the future.
Fatima was raised in Iran as a Muslim.
Being a Muslim is not by choice, it's by heredity. So if your parents were Muslims and you're born in that family, you're automatically a Muslim.
But Fatima resisted her parents' Muslim faith.
At a very young age, I started questioning existence, questioning whether there was a God or not. I would be like spending hours and hours and hours thinking about what would God look like? What would he, where would he be? But traditionally in Islamic culture, you don't ask these questions. They're tabooed. If you start asking questions like these, they will call you faithless.
Growing up, the God of the Quran was the only God that Fatima ever knew.
He's not a personal God. He's distant and he's a creator. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows his nature. Nobody knows his plans. You just know that he cares about morality and, in order to go to heaven, you must do good works. So it's through your good works.
As a teenager, Fatima looked for answers in fortune-telling and by reading coffee grounds.
I did that for a few years. Like I said, I was still searching for God. That practice did not lead me to know God. But still I searched. I had no choice. Something in me would not rest. And finally I came to a conclusion. I said, God, you're either so complicated that I could never know you, or you're just right in front of my eyes and I can't see you. And so I remember like every day I would cry and ask God to show me himself. Now, look at the sun. Are you the sun? Is that how you reveal yourself? Where am I supposed to look?
Her cry was answered when Fatima says that Jesus appeared to her in a dream.
I dreamt that Jesus and I were walking in a rose garden. It's gonna make me cry. And we were walking, and in the dream I'm thinking he's a prophet. He's walking and I'm just following, and he said, do you want to come with me? And I said, yes. And I said, and he said, then follow me. And I said, my mind thinking, how would you follow a person who's not even, he was a prophet a long time ago. How would you follow a person and not his instructions? How would you follow? So that was kind of puzzling. Why would he ask me that?
Night after night, Fatima had dreams about Jesus, God, and churches.
Old churches, new churches, modern churches, And I dreamt that, my mom and all of our family are, holding hands and going to the church.
Fatima moved to the United States when she was 20. She met a friend from work who told her about Jesus.
It was after he accepted the Lord Jesus that he found joy and peace, and those words just popped. I said, wow, this is good. And he said, every time he receives it, every time they pray for him, he is filled with joy and peace. And I said, oh, I want that. I want the joy and peace,
So Fatima went to a Christian church, and a woman there asked her,
do you believe Jesus Christ is God? And I said, did he say that? Did he say that he was God? And she said, yes, he says that. I said, sure, I believe he's good. Trust me, I'll find out if he's not. Think of, I'll just find out, things aren't true. But I'm willing to give Jesus a try, like definitely. And she said, do you want to pray, salvation prayer? Absolutely. So it was because of I think God had softened me up to the point that, I was soft toward God, and I wasn't, resistant.
That night, after years of searching, Fatima prayed to become a Christian.
Things just started changing. That heavy, heavy heart, that stone that I could, it was sharp even. I could feel how sharp and painful it was. That was gone. It was completely gone. That night, the Lord just like He took His hand in my heart and took that rock out permanently. The one significant thing that God did for me, that Christ did, was that He put hope in my heart, a permanent hope. And as I got to know the Lord more, of course the Lord gave me many more dreams just to show that the scriptures were true, and everything I was reading, God was backing them up.
Today, Fatima's mother, brother, and 2 sisters are all Christians. Fatima is a real estate broker and studying to be a psychologist. She's also married and has 2 sons. Fatima understands Muslims who are curious about Jesus and those who really don't understand who Jesus is.
I would say don't say no just because your parents were Muslims, parents before, your great-grandparents were Muslims, and this is what you're always taught. You need to find God for yourself. He's available. If Jesus says He's God, then He will prove it. All you have to have is an open heart to allow Jesus to come in, and then you will know for yourself if He's God or He's not God.
Hello everyone, peace of Christ to all. In this video we are going to talk about chapter 19 verse number 1, and this is very extremely important video. I want everybody to copy it and spread it all over, and I might need to make 2 videos to explain it. So please, when you copy it, copy the 2 parts. As you see in here, chapter 19 verse number 1, kahayas, it's coming in the Quran as a one word, but when we read the Muslims translating, they translate it as letters. As you see, they make it as letters. Kaf, ha, ya, ayn, sad. Now, as you see, Al-Jalalain saying, God knows best what He means by these letters. So who knows what the meaning of those letters? Only Allah, according to Muslims. Now, in the same time, we ask ourselves a question, okay, why Allah is putting words there when nobody understands it? It doesn't make sense. Simply, the way I understand this, Muhammad, he was copying from Christian books, and he put the word in there, and he do not know what it means. Because of all of us, we knew that Muhammad was copying. He is not the one is making the Quran. There is a guy, his name is Waraq ibn Nawfal. He is the one was giving him, and this guy, he was, let us say, he claimed to be priest, but he was kicked out of the church for the wrong teaching he was doing. So Muhammad, he copied the word and he put it in the Quran, and when they ask him what it means, the answer is, as usual, God knows best what He means by these letters, simply because it's not His work, simply because he is just copying, stealing something. He didn't know what it means, because kahayas as a word simply mean nothing, provide us nothing, show us nothing. So why it's there? And we notice that this exists in the chapter number 1 in the chapter number 9 verse number 1 in the Quran, and the chapter is the chapter of Maryam, the mother of Christ, according to the Quran. Now, why it exists there, this mysterious word? This is what we will try to explain to you in this video. But before we go there, this is the Muslim website, official government website of Saudi Arabia, as usual. If you see the Muslims translating it, they don't translate it as a meaning. They translate it as letter, because simply it's mean nothing. You get the point? For them, it is Allah words. We don't know what it means. Let us make it easier for Muslims. It is Allah letters, which is very funny. That's Allah, He say letters. I can say, and like He is not creating letters, because those letters already exist in the alphabet. So Muslim, he might say it's a miracle. Nobody can understand it. What do you mean a miracle? It's a letter. I can say G F M D O O, and you say to me, I said to you, do you know what it means? He said, yeah, those are letters, but what do you mean? He said, I don't know. Only Allah knows. It's a miracle, brother. But anyway, the Muslims are always funny when it's come to Quran miracles. So what we will try to do in here, we will try to provide you with the meaning of this word with a very, very important study. if you look with me in here, you will see a coding, and this coding, it is numbers, and those numbers equal to the alphabet in Arabic. Now, to make it short, I don't have much time. You will see those numbers going from 1 to 10 until the letter number 10, and the letter after the letter number 10 is going to be double. So what we are doing in here in this code, and this is very ancient code made by the Aramaic and the Arab and even Hebrew that use it, you will see that every 10 numbers, the number after will be double of the 10th number. So every 10 number we count, the number after will be double, and we will add the equal number for the letter number 10 to the number after, and the number after. As you see, this number was 10, this number was 20, this number is 30, which means we are just adding 10 to each one after the letter number 10, until we arrive to the letter number 20, which is 100. Now the letter number 20 simply is the number, it is, as you said, every 10 number, right? So the number after will be double, which means we are adding 100 for each letter after this letter, which is number 20. This is why we get those numbers, just to explain to you how we get them. Now, what those letters are standing for, simply in the old days, in ancient days, they use that coding as a security code. It's a very intelligent way. You can send a letter and nobody understands. Only people who have the code, they can understand what those words mean. Now, what all of this have to do with this verse? Let us go and see. Now, this is the coding again, and this is the letters Ka, He, Ya, Ain, Sad, as you see it, as the Muslim translated in the Quran, in their English Quran, chapter 19, verse number 1, and this is the code. I made it in a slide so you can see it better, and you can see the numbers. Now, if we try to make those letters fit with the coding, which is an Aramaic coding as we mentioned before, we will find the following. That's Ka, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad. They are equal to the following number. Ka is equal to 20. Ha equal to 5. Ya equal to 10. Ain equal to 70. Sad equal to 90. They are total as 195. Now, so what is 195? Well, it's a very complicated method. You need to be an expert to understand, but I will show it to you in a very easy way. The same way we were able to find out what those numbers stand for, the letters stand for as numbers, we can take those numbers and translate them again to as sentences. Remember, the reason it is a code. The reason it's made this way, so when somebody read the word kahayas, he will not understand. So maybe somebody will say, okay, so why they are doing this? Simply, it's a code, so nobody can understand. So if you send a letter, if you say something, you don't want anyone to understand except the people who they understand your language, the language of coding. Nobody can break the secret. And maybe somebody will say, okay, why Christians at that time, or somebody is at that time, or even whoever made these letters, why they are doing this? Because of the discrimination. They used to worship under a lot of a threat, and until now, actually, Christian, they are living under a threat. Now, if we go to the slide after, we will find the following analyzing. We found first that kahayas is equal to 195. Now we will take the 195 and we will try to find equal letters can break down with the letters or the number of 195. Now somebody can say, well, we can make a lot of mathematics and we break it down and we find a lot of letters. No, you can make really, but it doesn't matter how many times you make it or break it to numbers, because after all you have to make it as sentences make sense. Remember, if you translate the coding by coding, it means you did nothing. Now we are making the code back to be the same language again, to a language we understand. So you have to provide equal numbers fit with the 195 as total, and at the same time they provide as sentences. And remember, as I said, those all these Christians, they used to do those numbers because they are under discrimination, under the threat of being killed. So they used to say words nobody understand. Even in their language, nobody understand. Because simply you need a code. Now, if we translate the letters or the number 195 to letters, we get those letters A, L, M, C, Ya, Ha, A, L, Ha, Ya. Somebody will say, so what? 195 is equal to those letters. What does that mean? I will show you what does that mean. If we move, in the slide, we will see the following. As you see, those are the letters, more breakdown to show it to you more clear. A, L, M, Sin, Ya, Ha, A, L. They will end up as the following. And here is the surprise. This is a sentence in Arabic. It says, Al-Masihu Ilahi. Christ, to make it clear, it's not Jesus, it says Christ is my God. Al-Masihu Ilahi. Masih in Arabic, it's mean a Messiah. So, Al-Masihu Ilahi, Ilahi, it's mean my God. So what we found that Kahayas is equal to the number 195, and 195, when we break it down, we will find it's equal to the sentences Al-Masihu Ilahi. And this is explained why it exists in the first verse of the chapter of Mary. And for sure, we know how strong is the connection between Mary and the Messiah. She is his mother. So we found what Kahayas mean in their Quran. Muhammad, he copied it, he stole it from the Christian, and because he's a thief, he don't know what it's mean, but it's mean that Christ is my God. God don't leave himself without witnesses. Jesus is Lord. Christ is Lord, even in your book, Muslims. Ameen. Follow with me.
أنا أوصيكم على شيء. إذا كنتم مترددين ولا خايفين من شيء، أنتم لا تخافون إلا من الله. إذا تبغون شيء اسألوا الله، لأنه فعلا مسيح هو ابن الله. أنا من نفسي شفته. الله، أنا طلبت من الله يوريني في حلم، والحمد لله جاني في مجرد أسبوع وراني في حلم. إذا كنتم مترددين اسألوا الله، راح يوريكم، راح يبين لكم أن المسيح هو فعلا ابن الله. وغير كذا، إن في أرواح كثيرة ضايعة الحين، ضايعة ما تعرف إيش تسوي من ناحية ديانتهم، مو عجبتهم ديانتهم، يبغون يغيرونها. أنا عندي لكم أوصيكم أنكم بس تبحثوا عن الله، اسألوا المسيح، اسألوا عيسى، صدق والله راح يجيكم وحيبين لكم، يا في حلم يا حيجيك فيجن، حيجيك قدامك، يا ما صارت في ناس.
هاللويا.
والله حيبين لكم.
هاللويا. واو. هاللويا. يعني هيك انت you obeyed the command.
طبعا.
نشرت الكلمة. هاللويا. يا رب أنا مبسوط جدا جدا. يعني أنا بس ممكن أحكي حاجة عن نفسي، عشان أنا كمان كنت مسلم، وأنا كنت متدين وكنت ملتزم بالإسلام. لكن لما كان عمري 15 سنة، أنت قديش كان عمرك لما الرب جالك؟
21 سنة.
21 سنة. أنا كان 15 سنة عمري، وأنا كنت أتفرج على التلفزيون مثل المشاهدين الآن، يعني اللي بتفرجوا علينا، وهيك. وكان في واحد اسمه أورال روبرتس، هذا مبشر مشهور جدا في أمريكا. وهو كان يحكي عن قيامة المسيح وموت المسيح، وأنا ما كنت فاهم إشي. لكن لما كان يحكي فجأة الروح القدس انسكب علي. صدقني حسيت حالي، تعرف أنا حتى ما بقولش إني كنت مسلم وصرت مسيحي، أنا كنت ميت وعشت لما الروح القدس أجا. وهذا اللي بيصير مع كل شخص. ممكن يكون شخص مسيحي، ممكن يكون بوذي، ممكن يكون ملحد، ممكن يكون يهودي، ممكن بيهمش. يعني كلنا قبل ما يجي المسيح احنا روحيا ميتين، محتاجين الروح القدس ينسكب علينا. وهي مكتوب في الكتاب، يقول الله في الأيام الأخير سأسكب من روحي على جميع البشر. البشر في أمريكا، البشر في فلسطين، البشر في السعودية، البشر في مصر، البشر في الهند، البشر في أفريقيا، في كل العالم. هللويا. الرب يسكب من روحه على جميع البشر. يعني صحيح أنت فرحتي قلوبنا اليوم باختبارك الجميل. يعني أنت كمان صار عندك أحلام ثاني ممكن تحكي لنا عن بعد الأحلام الثانية اللي جالك؟
أنا جتني حلم ثاني شفت فيها عيسى.
نعم.
والحلم هذا نفس الكلام اللي مكتوب فيه في الإنجيل، أنا شفته في الحلم قبل ما قريتها في الكتاب.
واو.
بس عشان تعرفون حقيقة الحلم.
نعم.
كنا في يوم القيامة، وأنا كنت أحاول أنشر كلمة الله، وفي ناس كانوا مو راضين يستوعبون ويقبلون أنه عيسى هو فعلا ابن الله.
هذا في الحلم؟
في الحلم.
هذا في الحلم.
أنا في الحلم كنت أسوي كذا.
نعم.
وأنا جالسة أحاول فيهم أقنعهم، أحاول أنشر كلمة، أعطيهم كذا كلمة من الإنجيل، وأنا جالسة أسوي نفس الشيء هذا. أرفع راسي وأشوف عيسى نازل من السحاب على الخيل الأبيض.
واو.
وكان مرة كبير وحجم عظيم، إحنا كلنا عارفين كيف السماء بيضاء.
نعم.
نور عيسى بياض ثاني، بياض غير عن بياض السماء.
هذا مكتوب في الكتاب كمان.
أيوه.
صح.
هذا اللي شفته.
نعم.
وأنا نظرت فيه، عرفت اللي حسيت براحة، حسيت إنه صاحبي من زمان حسيت براحة لما شفته، مع إنه منظر عظيم ومنظر يخوف. أنا حسيت براحة وناظرتهم، شوفوا هذا هو، هذا اللي جالسة أقول لكم عنه.
هاللويا.
ناظروا وكلهم مع أنهم شافوه، نصهم أقبلوا ونص الثاني عيوا.
واو.
لأنه هذه هي حقيقة الدنيا، إنه في ناس ما حيقبلون.
نعم. حتى لو يشوفوا المسيح
أيوة
ما زال
حيظلوا ميتين من جوا.
واو.
هذه هي حقيقة الدنيا. بس الحمد لله نص العالم لما شافوه أقبلوه، شافوا عظمته، لأنه نازل يوم القيامة، كان نازل على إسرائيل.
واو.
وأتذكر هذا آخر حلم شفت عيسى فيها.
واو.
بس غيرت حياتي.
وممكن كيف تحكي لي يعني كيف كان رد فعل الناس؟ يعني أنت
بالحلم؟
لا، في حياتك الآن. يعني في ناس بيعرفوا عن إيمانك، وكيف كان رد فعلهم؟
أي ناس، العرب ولا
العرب أو أصدقائك ولا؟
بصراحة العرب هم معطيني حريتي الحمد لله، يعني مع أنهم ضد الشيء هذا تقبلوه لأنه خياري أنا.
أيوة.
وكل واحد يسوي اللي هو متوقع ربي يبغاه يسويه. فهو يعني الحمد لله الله مسهل عليه أشياء كثيرة، وما حد يعني الحمد لله ما شفت أشياء معاملة سيئة. كلهم متقبلين.
نشكر الرب.
ومن ناحية الأجانب الأمريكانز مرة مبسوطين إنه يشوفون معجزة، إنه واحدة سعودية تقبل عيسى.
هاللويا.
الحمد لله.
نشكر الرب. يعني صحيح المسيح بيعلمنا عيشوا مع كل الناس بالسلام. يعني ومكتوب كمان يعني بالإنجليزي بيقول as much as it is in your power، يعني قد ما هي في قوتك أنت عيش بالسلام مع الناس. الرب ما بده إيانا نعيش دائما يعني بالمشاكل وبالغضب والعداوة مع الناس. الرب بده إيانا نعيش بالسلام. هذه مشيئة الرب، يعني مكتوب هيك. عشان هيك أنا مبسوط إن أنت لقيتي قبول بين الناس وحتى بين العرب، يعني بالنسبة لإيمانك. وممكن يعني أنت الآن بتحضري كنيسة؟
إيه الحمد لله.
وهل تشتركي في الخدمة فيها؟
أشترك معاهم 4 أيام في الأسبوع.
نعم. إيش ممكن تحكي لنا يعني إيش اللي بتعمليه؟
إحنا طبعا يوم الأحد نروح نعمل Sunday service.
نعم.
في نروح في Mondays وفي Thursdays وفي Tuesdays. هي عبارة عن نجتمع ونجيب ناس ما يؤمنون بعيسى، ما يؤمنون فيه.
نعم.
وندعي، وفي طبعا يغنون أغاني، في باندز يجون يغنون، وإحنا طبعا معاهم ونساعد الناس هذول اللي يبغون يقبلون عيسى بس مو عارفين شلون.
نعم.
ويعني الحمد لله كل يوم.
واو. صحيح يعني اختبارك، يعني نشكر الرب يسوع من أجلك ومن أجل طاعتك للأحلام اللي يجولك من الرب. ويعني ذكرتينا إنه إلهنا حي
طبعا.
وذكرتينا عن محبة المسيح لكل الناس، عشان مكتوب في الكتاب هكذا أحب الله العالم حتى بذل ابنه الوحيد لكي لا يهلك كل من يؤمن به بل تكون له الحياة الأبدية. وممكن من المشاهدين بس أشجعكم اليوم زي ما عملت أختنا، ممكن أنتوا اليوم شاكين، ممكن أنتوا اليوم في جواكم جوع أو عطش روحيا، وتتمنوا أنه الرب يجي ويروي هذا العطش اللي فيكم. أشجعكم تعملوا زي ما عملت أختنا. قل لله: يا الله، إذا المسيح هو ابنك، إذا المسيح مات على الصليب عشاني، يا رب تعال واثبت لي محبتك، خليني أعرف محبتك. يا رب أنا محتاج إنك تروي العطش اللي فيا، عشان إلهنا حي وهو موجود وهو عندك الآن، وهو بحبك بمحبة أبدية. وأنا نشكركم المشاهدين على وجودكم معنا في هذه الحلقة خاص من البرنامج إله المعجزات على قناة حررني يسوع، ونتمنى نكون معكم في المستقبل، وربنا يكون معكم.